And if there was so much of this populist energy, why aren't they being elected everywhere? Like they're still representing a minority opinion in the party.
Destiny, I want to stick with you for a second. Before the election, you tweeted, if Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, Hamas supporters, etc., need to be effing jettisoned from the party. We don't need them to win. We can turn out our own base, and they are an absolute effing cancer to be associated with. Given Trump's victory and whatever it means to you, do you stand by that?
Yeah, 1 trillion%. I think that having to
Great. And we
answer
should
for
jettison you.
having to, well, but I mean, I represent far more of the party than the far left
Apparently you
does.
don't. Apparently you represent the loser wing.
You can the loser,
Jettison,
like every
eject,
progressive
eject,
candidate that is
eject.
running in all of their elections that are being tossed. They lose their primaries, they lose their actual elections. Like they're losers. They're by definition they're losers.
David Pakman hosted a panel discussion featuring Cenk Uygur, host of the Young Turks, and Steven Kenneth Destiny Bonnell II, a political streamer and debater. The debate centered on the future direction of the Democratic Party following the 2024 election results, specifically whether the party should shift to the left, move toward the center, or maintain its current stance. When these three get together, their viewpoints quickly dissolve into a mix of absurdity and unintentional comedy. Let's check it out.
So, to get us into this conversation, we recently did a poll on our YouTube channel, Unscientific. Does the Democratic Party need to move left or right, or is it fine where it is? 47% of our audience said Democrats should embrace left-wing economic populism and move further to the left. 44% either said that the Democratic Party is perfect the way it is, change nothing, or should move further to the center, deal with issues of crime and immigration in a way that more resembles the way the right talks about it, etc. I think to start with, I just want to hear about your reaction to that and which direction sounds like it's the one we need to go in.
So let me get this straight. 47% of Democrats think the party should move further left, while 44% believe it's fine the way it is. That means 91%, a significant majority, support policies that I believe are extreme. Pushing further left could lead to policies that resemble authoritarian regimes, and keeping the status quo might perpetuate controversial practices affecting future generations. This is this feels deeply concerning to me.
So David, I know those questions are rough and it's hard to phrase them exactly right, but I think that you put two different things into one question and then hence it becomes misleading. So let me break it down for you. I think that
Please.
there are three different parts of the Democratic Party now, and they're usually called two different parts, but that's very wrong. So there's the establishment part. I think that's basically the part that Destiny supports. Rah rah, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, corporate Democrats who will deliver 5 to 10%, and then you're supposed to kiss their ass for it and go, "Oh my God, you changed my life so much." And it's nothing but propaganda. They do basically almost everything the donors ask them to. That's the loser wing of the party. And I don't mean that in terms of the folks who are advocating for it. God bless, everybody's got every right to advocate for what they believe in. I mean, they are literally losers. Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump, who, is barely in double digits in IQ points. Biden nearly lost. So if you want to keep making that same mistake, a couple of decades later, there'll be no party left. But like, if we just get the best corporate robot like Pete Buttigieg, maybe he'll be the answer. No, corporate robots are by definition not the answer. So we're in a populist era. We're in an era where online media is stronger now for the first time than mainstream media. Authenticity is rewarded. And so sending out people going, I am doing what the donors asked me to is a disaster, epic disaster. And you've seen it with your own eyes. So I'm trying to wake people up. Now, when you go to the progressive side, everybody just goes, oh, progressives. But wait a minute, there's two very different camps in there.
Yep.
There's the camp that's Bernie 2016 that I'm in. That's economic populism, left-wing populists. And then there's the identitarian left, which is go maximum on crime doesn't exist. Trans people should be able to play in any professional sports they like. Free surgeries for detainees, on and on and on, right? And so my thesis is not one that's even, I don't even think it's arguable, let alone controversial. The corporate wing and the identitarian left wing uh, proved to be a spectacular failure in this election. Clearly the popular wing, and by the way, this is not a matter in dispute. You can just look at the polling. So the identitarian left says defund the police is going to poll really well. Latinx is going to poll really well, except it doesn't. It polls disastrously, right? And the corporate wing says, oh, me kissing the ass of corporations is going to poll really well. And it doesn't. It never does, right? But when you look at the populist left, you've got paid family leave, you've got $15 minimum wage, you've got lowering drug prices, on and on and on, universal health care. They all polled 2/3 or higher. So why not do the thing that's popular? So this is, and of course, there's a reason why they don't. And it's because the whole thing is built on money, 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 money. I mean, the first thing that Joe Biden took out of the first COVID relief bill was the $15 minimum wage. He was lying about it from day one. He buried that. And why? It's super, it was, again, polling over 2/3. Why would you take that out? Why wouldn't you let the Republicans defeat it if they're going to defeat it and then use it as a tool against them to win elections? The reason you don't do any of that is because your donors ordered you not to do that.
Destiny, about to that point, Bernie Sanders said shortly after the election, I'm paraphrasing, of course, the working class abandoned Democrats because Democrats abandoned the working class. Do you think there's truth to that critique from Bernie?
No, of course not. It's, I mean, like again, the reality is incumbent parties all over the world lost. Like in every single country, the incumbent party lost vote share, lost seats in parliament, lost their elected leaders. I mean, like it was a referendum on inflation worldwide. We all felt it. And inflation is the thing that you feel the cumulative effects of. So there you go. I mean, like when has there ever been a president in recent history that has been better for labor than Joe Biden? And is Trump going to be better for labor than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris would have been? Like, there's no policy foundation in that statement. And then to Cenk's point, I guess like this is the eternal mystery for progressives is that, and I've argued with so many on this, their candidates are supposedly the most popular, just nobody knows it yet. And all the positions that they have are the most popular positions. Then why do their candidates lose all their elections? Even when they're outspending opponents, they lose their elections. Why? Where are all of these progressive candidates taking Congress by storm that are so popular and have all these popular positions? And then I'm curious what Cenk will say, but I will head off one response because I know it's going to be, well, it's because the party's opposed to them and the corporate donors. The party hated Donald Trump when he ran in 2016. Republicans hated Donald Trump when he ran in 2016. It wasn't the billionaire class and it wasn't the donor class. He genuinely got a lot of support from the party and he eventually rose up through the ranks and he became popular and he became the nominee. And I think that if there was a progressive candidate, they could at least be winning their local races. But I mean, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, Cenk, you're shaking your head. How do you see it?
Yeah, so first, I love talking about worldwide elections because I think it goes to exactly the point I'm making. Candidates that are for the status quo are losing everywhere. And what's interesting is they keep going, I don't get it. Brazil went left, then right, then left. UK went left, then right, then left. What's going on here? Are they left or are they right? They're not left or right. What the voters are doing is voting for change and voting for populism. And so that is your Rosetta Stone. That will tell you if the right winger or the left winger is going to win. And so even Macron was a new party when he won in stunning fashion. Then he did the standard thing that everybody else does, and then they voted against him because then he became the status quo. What is the status quo that the whole world is vomiting out right now? That's neoliberal policies. Give all the money to the very top, and don't worry, it'll trickle all over you many decades from now. People on the left, we've been fighting against this ideology for decades. But now our leaders have been co-opted by the donor class, and they say the same goddamn thing. And that's why we're losing these elections. It's not a matter of whether Donald Trump is better for labor than Kamala Harris. Of course not. But the question is, in the primary, is a candidate like Bernie Sanders better than Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris on labor? And the answer is obviously. So go towards labor, go towards change. So look, even within this election, guys, it was a perfect microcosm. When Kamala Harris first came out,
and Destiny both make valid points. But the claim that progressive policies are the most popular, yet fail to win elections, reveals a contradiction. If their ideas truly resonated with the majority of voters, we would see a wave of progressive candidates sweeping into Congress. Instead, the data shows that progressive candidates often struggle to gain traction beyond deeply liberal districts. This suggests that while progressives may dominate conversations within their circles or on social media, their policies are out of step with the broader electorate, who favor practical, common sense solutions over ideological extremes. In contrast, candidates like Donald Trump gained popularity not because establishment support, but because he tapped into widespread voter frustrations and offered bold, clear stances on key issues like economic growth, immigration, and national security. Progressives, by focusing on divisive and often unpopular ideas like defunding the police or radical changes to education policy, alienate voters in swing districts and fail to build the coalition needed to win. This disconnect underscores why their candidates consistently underperform despite claims of widespread support.
Destiny, I want to stick with you for a second. Before the election, you tweeted, if Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, Hamas supporters, etc., need to be effing jettisoned from the party. We don't need them to win. We can turn out our own base, and they are an absolute effing cancer to be associated with. Given Trump's victory and whatever it means to you, do you stand by that?
Yeah, 1,000,000,000,000%. I think that having
Great.
to answer
We should
for
jettison you.
having to, well, but I mean, I represent far more of the party than the far left
Apparently you
does.
don't. Apparently you represent the loser wing.
You can the loser,
Jettison,
like every
eject,
progressive
eject,
candidate that is
eject.
running in all of their elections that are being tossed. They lose their primaries, they lose their actual elections. Like they're losers. They're by definition they're losers. The issue is that one is the lefty media sphere will never ever support a candidate that is electable in the mainstream. They just won't. They turn on Bernie Sanders and they turn on AOC. Even those people aren't far left enough for the insanity that is the far left online now. So trying to kowtow to this like group of people who want to see like an actual communist or like this like anti capitalist or this like just somebody that's too far left that most European countries probably wouldn't even support in leadership. It's just an unrealistic proposition. Unless they can actually prove, some of their, I guess, merit at more local levels, or even like in congressional levels, rather than just like for the presidential race. That's number one. And number two, that media sphere is toxic, and we have to pretend that they're part of the in-group. Again, a big benefit that Trump enjoys is when he gets attacked, Trump can run this whole media circuit on the right where every single person is sycophantically obsessed with him. He doesn't have to answer any attacks. He can sit there and attack the other side endlessly and relentlessly, and there's no accountability. And then you're Kamala Harris or you're, the Democratic candidate. It's like, okay, well, going on the right platforms is very difficult because these people are going to, rake me over the coals. And then I go to the left platforms. These people all call me corporate sellouts, donor class, whatever. Okay, well, Jesus, I've got my center left media, but they're so obsessed with trying to be fair and balanced and to try to not be not have like Trump derangement syndrome that they're going to hold me like ultra accountable. So you have these wacky, unbelievable moments where people like Walz and Vance are on stage, and the question for Walz is, didn't you lie 20 or 30 years ago about the months you were in Taiwan? And then the question for Vance is like, did you really mean it when you said you would also overturn like the next election? And we have to pretend that these two things are even. It's just ridiculous. The Democrat establishment and then the Democratic media sphere needs to do a better job at like reinforcing the voting for the in-group, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is getting your candidate elected. You can do all the activism on Twitter or whatever you want, but if you're not pushing for electable candidates to get elected, then you're engaging in slacktivism.
Did he just say slacktivism? Destiny's argument, that's just crazy. Destiny's argument that progressive candidates lose because the corporate media sabotages them is both disingenuous and detached from reality. Blaming the media for Kamala Harris and other progressive candidates' failures ignores the actual reasons voters reject them. Their policies and their messaging simply don't resonate with the majority of Americans. If these candidates were truly strong, they would overcome media bias through grassroots support and effective campaigning, just as others have done in the past. This level of delusion, believing their candidates are inherently great and deserve to win despite consistent electoral losses, demonstrates why the left continues to farther. Instead of reevaluating their platforms or connecting with voters, they cling to the excuse that everyone else is to blame. Until they face the reality that their ideas and candidates aren't as broadly appealing as they think, the left will remain stuck in a cycle of losing and finger pointing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this debate. Do you agree, disagree, or have a completely different perspective? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support helps keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching.